Hey everyone, welcome back to Karis Garage, and on this episode, we're going to get some more work done on the smart car. So this morning, before I fired up the camera, I went ahead and pulled the engine out. So there it is laying right there. Without the head and a lot of stuff on it, it was actually light enough that I was able just to pick it up and take it out of the chassis right there. So there's the transmission. And I did this because I finally decided that I'm just going to throw a new clutch in it. It's got 131,000 miles and it's all apart, and I figured why not, and the clutch kit wasn't too expensive. So if we come over here, see on the workbench, we got a nice new Sachs box, and we've got the new clutch, pressure plate, fork, throwout bearing, the pivot ball, and everything. So we're going to go ahead and install that. So I've got the flywheel lock tool. This is actually a Volkswagen one that I have, but I was able to get it in, so the flywheel's locked down. So we're going to go ahead and pull these bolts out, hold the pressure plate in place, and go ahead and pull the old clutch out, clean it up, and put the new clutch in. And then we'll be able to go into the transmission, the bell housing, and replace that throwout bearing, fork, and pivot. So the old clutch actually looks pretty good still some material on it, but like I say, with the miles that are on it and the fact it's already all apart, I don't really want to risk it, so we're going to go ahead and put the new one in. So I want to clean up the surface really well, see if I have a clutch alignment tool that'll work for this. Maybe the Volkswagen one will. We'll see. So unfortunately, it looks like my Volkswagen clutch alignment tool does not work, but I have actually done this before. It might look a little janky, but it works. So I went ahead and cleaned up the surface of the flywheel. Got the new clutch disc here. Nicely in place. I looked at the surface of the flywheel and it looks really nice. There's no divots or really bad heat spots on it. Got the really nice new pressure plate. So let me go ahead and get a rag and clean this off. Just make sure there's no, anti-corrosive cosmoline or something on it that's gonna mess up the clutch. Just a little bit of brake clean and just clean up the surface really well. So there you go, it's nice and clean. So let's go ahead and put this guy on. So let's see. Just like that. Line it up with the dowel pins. Start the first bolt. And then I've always found what works best when installing new clutch pressure plate assemblies is, just slowly tighten it up, crisscross pattern, to make sure that you evenly compress the spring pack. So I'll tighten on these bolts just to get some tension. And then we'll give it a nice tighten, and then I need to double check to see if I can find a torque spec for this. So, probably not the easiest to see, the lighting's not all that great. So I went ahead and pulled the old fork out already. This is the new one. There's a sleeve in here that looks like there's a new one that comes with, so we're going to go ahead and replace that. And we got to get this pivot ball out, which is plastic, so definitely good to replace it. Well, now is going to be the sheer, utter task of entertainment. Gonna get the engine back in here. Now this is light enough. When I took it out, I just picked it up and pulled it out. So I'm gonna pick it up, kind of cradle it a certain way, and then slide it back into the bell housing and get some of the bell housing bolts started. And then tighten it up, and we can start reassembling the engine. So after fighting it a bit, I just took this piece of wood, braced it a little bit just to be able to hold it up enough, and I was able to get it to slide in. So let's get a couple of the bell housing bolts started, and then we can tuck it in. Well, now that the fiasco of getting the engine back onto the transmission, I spun it over left and right to make sure nothing was binding up. Feels really good. Now I'm going to have to clean some stuff up a little bit, and I'll show you one thing. Here's my mess of a workbench. One thing that really irritates me, I don't know if this is factory, I don't think it is, but at some point this timing cover I think was off, and if you see, there's this outrageous amount of sealing compound. I mean, it is just caked up everywhere. There is not a gasket through the factory on this. It's actually from the manufacturer. It's just sealing compound. But I mean, look at how much excess there is. And actually, when I pulled this timing chain cover off, there was a whole bunch gooped up into here. I mean, there's still a little bit right there, but there was a whole bunch right there. I need to still order this O-ring, and this O-ring. I was looking around online. I found a couple of sources, so I'm going to do that Monday so I can get the timing, cover, chain, and everything back on next weekend. But for now, at least, I got the sealing surface on the head and the block nice and clean, so we can get the cylinder head back on. I did lay a straight edge on it in multiple different directions and look to see if there was any warp. I know it's not exactly the scientific way to do it, but it looks like everything was really nice. There was nothing super obvious, nothing that really was like, oh, this is a huge problem. So I'm thinking with the new gasket and the new water pump, it should be good. Here's the new head gasket. Looks like it does come with tightening torque instructions, which is fantastic. So it can only really go one way. I mean, it can go this way, but it would be completely messed up. So it goes like this. And yes, we're going to take these out first. So this goes like this. This one goes there. I just put a little dab of RTV in the corners. Not the whole tube, just a little dab. There is sealing material on the gasket, but just a little teeny bit right there just to be safe. So I got 8 new bolts. Got the original washers. Let's go ahead and plop the head back down. Here's the head. Well, I got the cylinder head on. It's torqued down. Everything is just as the specifications say. It was a nominal torque rating and then 290 degrees. Then I cleaned up the surface a bit more. I put the chain rails back on. I need to look at some of the information I have and see the exact sequence and how you install the cams so you don't mess them up. So I need to go read up on that before I can do that. And just to make sure that everything is all in time when I get it all back together. So I'm going to read up on that, make sure I get the right part numbers for the couple of O-rings I need to order, and then we will be able to really get this thing all back together. But for now, this is a really good point. I'll probably end up putting that dog bone motor mount back together down there. But I think I'm just going to call it there for now so I can figure a few things out. But sure making some really good progress. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for the Smart on this video. Got the new clutch in, all the parts in the bell housing, got the cylinder head gasket on, torqued down, so we're definitely quite a bit further than we were. So like I said, I just need to figure out a couple more things real quick just to make sure I do stuff correctly, and then we'll be able to really button this all up, and I need to order just a couple more parts. So hopefully next weekend we will be getting this thing put back in the car and hopefully running very soon. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.